you for joining us this morning. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your university and what you do there?
My name is Andy Williams. I'm the Director of Student Media at Elizabethtown College in Elizabethtown, PA. We're about an hour west of Philadelphia. We're a smaller liberal arts college that has a pretty active communications program that does video production and marketing and PR and social media. So our students get a little bit of everything. I oversee there's a student-run television station and a student-run radio station. So I work with those students along with working with faculty, teaching classes that apply to those, which is audio and video.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your current setup for your production that you do?
Yeah, we try to double everything. So our studio, which is basically a lab, our studio and control room is a lab. And so that's where the students learn. That's where the classes take place. That's where the hands-on, portion of their learning takes place. And then we take those applications and we take them out in the field. So you see the picture behind me, we had a 31-foot bus that we used probably for about 7 years, and COVID did it in. So it's not roadworthy. So we now have moved all the gear into flight cases. So most of the things we do, our campus isn't very big. So we can move our stuff around with road cases that have turf tires on it. And we also have access to vehicles with lifts that we can move around. So we basically operate, depending on the remote that we're doing, out of 3 flight cases. One of them is a double flight case and the rest are single cases. We use the biggest one is used as production. So it has a switcher, has an audio interface, it has our comms and our network, our live streaming, which we do with a Blackmagic webcaster. We could do multi-camera with graphics. We've also added, because of COVID, we bought 6 PTZ cameras. So our students could learn that, because that became very relevant with doing multi-camera Zooms. So we have PTZ cameras. We also have announcer consoles. We use the large format HD cameras with sleds and box lenses, depending on the remote, if it's sports or if it's a long throw. We also own a 16-foot by 30-foot video wall that we used heavily during COVID. We bought it pre-COVID to use for just high interest, high value remotes. And we ended up using it all through COVID. So the students in big spaces, so they could watch movies and we could have events. So it really got heavily used, or we only thought we were going to use it once or twice a year. We're using it we probably used it 20 or 30 times. So it is a mix. It's a mix of gear based on large or small, depending what the events are that we do.
It sounds like you're fairly well equipped, though.
Yeah, it is a process to build the systems out and also keep them updated and make them all play together. So over the years, our budget has been we're blessed with an endowment, so that gives us money that just goes towards technology. It doesn't go super far, but it actually lets us replace things smartly, so we can kind of keep our students up to date with what the latest technology is. And that is I think one of your questions is also, what is a challenge? That is a challenge. So we do a good job with what we have, and the students really kind of get that real world feel, hands-on, as best we can provide.
Are you connected like with ESPNU, or are you live streaming to your own websites and so forth? How are you using the production?
Depending on our events, the college has a platform with like Ustream that they will, if it's a commencement or homecoming, or if it's a very high value or high viewing event, we will jump on there. They'll put us on their live stream. Most of our students will live stream to YouTube, or if there's not music, maybe Facebook. We run into copyright issues with music. So we have to be careful with those type of remotes that we do. We do a lot of performances on campus. We're fully licensed for, ASCAP BMI, but we still get flagged on streaming. Streaming isn't our problem. It's when you make it a copy, then when you record it, and that's when it becomes an issue. So if we're just live streaming, we're fine. If we're live streaming to record, then we run into some stumbling blocks with that. But yeah, we mainly live stream. We're also our channel is on the local Comcast cable system, so we go out to about 25,000 homes as part of one of the cable channels. So the students, we have that as well.
Okay. So are you going to your public address system at all when you have like sports, or are you totally separate from the PA system?
We usually stay separate. We keep the broadcast side separate from the PA side. Usually we work with whatever entity, if it's sports or entertainment or parade or something like that. They'll do their own PA announcing, and our students will wear the Shure announcer headphones, and we have a Clearcom announcer boxes, and they will announce sports or parade or things like that. And then we also talk back to them through Clearcom. So ours is usually separate.
Okay.
And then we also try to record ambient sound as well, depending on what the event is.
Okay. You mentioned a Blackmagic Cat Procaster, I think it was.
Yeah.
What kind of camera equipment do you have? Can you elaborate a little bit on it?
We when we go out and do remotes, we have they're LDK. Some people call them Grass Valley cameras, 6000s or HD cameras. They're kind of the workhorse of a lot of remotes. And we also use we have Sony's. I'm trying to think what the Sonys are. The Sonys are it's escaping me, like HXC D70s or something. They're a newer HD camera that we just purchased. So we use those on sleds with box lenses that are either 20x with a doubler, or we have one or two 55x lenses. So for like a sports lens. And so, the students have to take them out. We have to set them up. We have to match the cameras to the lenses, and we run tracks cable. And then they communicate either via wireless Clearcom or wired Clearcom through the triax. Those are our hard cameras. Then we use a smaller, like a prosumer Sony camera we use with a Teradek Bolt 4K video wireless system. So we can have a sideline camera or wandering handheld camera at an event. And we put them on wireless Clearcom so they can communicate as well. So those are the two types of cameras we use mostly. We also will mix in a PTZ pan tilt zoom camera. If we have talent, it's a very easy camera just to put on talent and doesn't move too much. Or we will put them on a jib. We have a 14-foot jib, and we'll put it on that. So we have one student operating the camera, the other student operating the jib. So those cameras are new to us, purchased right around COVID because of having to do a lot more remote events with less crew, and also wanting multi-camera on Zooms. The college wanted to have more of a production feel to the Zooms, and then also it would benefit the students moving forward to learn the PTZ process, because it would be valuable to them depending on whatever job they got, that they could be doing conferencing, that multi-camera conferencing. So yeah, we bought 6 of them, and they're still used pretty heavily today for board of trustees meetings and different events that we can put a couple cameras in that are not intrusive, not the big cameras with big footprint. So,
all right. Are there any specific challenges that you faced on the video side with all this collection of hardware?
There's a few challenges in this. It's trying to keep up with the technology. Just whatever we buy, is it going to be the technology for the next 5 years? It's really difficult. So those are my biggest challenges of getting what they would use in the private sector, and staying in touch with the professionals like yourself. What do you use? And so we can then take that and apply it with our students so they will have that experience when they leave. So I think it's a constant contact, whether it's with a television station or video production or someone who specializes in audio products, just to keep our kids so they're ready when they leave here. And they say, oh, I've used one of those, or I know how to do that. So it punches up their resume as well. And it makes them feel like this is legitimate equipment. And that's also a big sell for recruitment. You have a lot of high schools now that have nice setups and TriCasters and things like that. And we have to have better stuff than they do, or they're going to be, why would we come to your school? So that is my challenge, is to just make sure that we stay relevant. And we also, make sure we're passing on things to the students that will be a benefit to them when they leave.
Since you brought up recruitment, how large of a program do you have?
The college itself is about 2,000 students. Our program, majors and minors, is about 150 to 175, depending on the class sizes coming in. So, okay. And that's a mix across journalism and digital media, which is like production, and PR, marketing, and social media. They all take classes that intertwine. So even if you're doing PR media, you'll take some video classes, so you'll be able to do videos for your websites and companies you might work for. And also the video students take the PR marketing classes, so they get some writing and understand that side of it as well. So, and graphic design is a big part of it too. When we have a robust graphic design program.
Okay. And you said that is going out to your website and the local television channel, yes, and so forth. Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny, the students consider it a more of a legit event that we do if it's live streamed. They don't come from the culture of having to watch television. And I would say that most of them do not have TVs in their dorm rooms. They they stream everything. So right. It is different. I grew up watching, everything was cable TV or television or all over the air. And that's what made it legitimate if your stuff was there. And I worked 20 years in broadcast news. And so for me not to have a TV, it's just strange. But this is the world they live in. They only know live streaming, and they only know, most of them don't know how to use a CD player. We have to teach them, like, this is how because audio programs stop and you need to put a CD on until that starts back up again. And they don't come from the DVD or CD world, this generation. So it is very interesting. It does every now and then make you feel very old, or, you just, take a step back. But
I was just going to mention that you're making me feel very old.
Yeah, they do it to me all the time. So yeah, I'm just, but then they throw a curveball and they show up with vinyl records, and it's their parents' records, and they're like, can we play these? And so yeah, so we went out and bought turntables that we can interface with our audio board, and yeah, so it's it's a moving target on what their interests are and how to get them interested. So it's a fun challenge, but it's a challenge nonetheless.
You mentioned audio. What kind of audio mixer or equipment are you using?
We use, we have in our studio, we have a Midas M32 digital console, it's fairly new. It's about 2 years old. We bought 2 of them. So we bought one for our studio lab for them to learn on. And then we take the same one out when we go out and do events. So that's what they mix mostly on. If we're doing a small format event, we also have a Behringer X32, which is basically a rack-mounted interface, and you can use an iPad to control it. And it's when you're only having like 2 inputs or 3 inputs or something, or you're getting a line feed from a house system, like what we go to our performance theater here, and they'll give us just a live feed. We won't try to mic it. Everybody's mic'd, so we just get a feed from them. So in that case, we would not take the Midas out. That's overkill for 1 or 2 channels. So we do try to make it a little bit, we try to have a couple options. It doesn't have to be a huge setup. If we take out the big cameras and there's a rack that goes with those, that's shading, that does color correction and syncing and all that, that's a different level. And if we don't need to take that, then we can take some of the things out. So it's set up to either be all or some, depending on the size. If we're just doing an improv show, or we're doing a vocal, group or something like that, we don't need the full setup. So.
Okay. Well, speaking now from the audio side, are there any specific challenges that you face or are facing?
I think that, to me, because we teach audio and video in one class, and then they break it down and they do a separate audio class. And we always try to teach the students, or say to the students, that when audio is done right, no one notices, but when it's not good, everyone notices. So it's not like video, where video you're watching everything they're doing. Audio, and we use an example. If a car door closes and you don't hear it, then people are going to go, wait a minute, I didn't hear the car door close. So if the audio is not good, everyone notices. So I think that's the challenge. You can get them very excited about video, but they don't have the same, it's very hard to get that same excitement in audio. So we push a little bit harder with audio and challenge them a little bit more. And I think that one of my biggest challenges is just getting them to know that audio is just as important as video, and good audio and clean audio. And it can't have a little bit of static in it. It can't be overmodulated. If it's too low, we can bring it up a little bit, but really, don't settle. Like, try to come back with good stuff that we can work with. And I think that's been our challenge, trying to find people locally in our area that this is what they do. So we can take the students and say, look, this is what you can do with this. And this is what good audio is, and how important it is. So that is a challenge for me. And it's also, it's like anything else. It's where you spend your technology dollars. So, we not only have to outfit a radio station, a television station, we also have edit suites, and we have audio editing, video editing, voiceover rooms. Students want to use snowball microphones because they plug right into the computer, but the computer is in very hollow, and they're like, well, why does it sound bad? I'm like, well, because you're in a room that's hollow. So it's not that we have these other rooms that are set up for that. That's another step that they'd have to do, and they just don't. It doesn't click. Sometimes they have to hear it, and they're like, oh, okay. So it is having a mix of microphones. We have faculty that are passionate about audio, so they teach them how to mic a piano, and how to mic live, and how to mic a cappella. Big thing now is to get them interested is doing podcasts and miking for that, and also any kind of live performance audio and miking, and using choir mics, and using good vocal mics and things like that. So I think that's the challenge of having all those at your fingertips, but also showing them you can't just use one mic for everything. The hand mic can't be used for, everything, and why you need to have a windscreen, and, it's things like that. So audio is up there with video is a challenge to try to just, paint the picture, but with audio.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you look at your program, on an overall point of view, are there any weaknesses that you're, looking at or trying to address, or have you got things pretty much under control?
Well, you could always think that you have it under control, but it's not. It's just till the next thing happens. So our challenges are, people who know how to use this equipment know how to treat the equipment. Students don't necessarily know, the best way to look after it and take care of it. So we walk the line with how much we spend on something to be how much we'll be sad if they break it. So, or if we don't just need one, we need 10, Rode microphones, or we need, 10 lavalier mics. Because when we're having a class and they all need to use it, we have to have access. They have to have access to it. So I think my challenge is, struggle is just keeping those pieces together, keeping them working, and keeping the right things for them to use without breaking the bank. I mean, it's a constant, moving money around, like, we need this for a video project, we need this for audio project or whatever. It's a constant shuffle of how we best spend our dollars. And I think we do a good job. I mean, we do have some good equipment and our students seem to appreciate it, but I think there's always room for improvement. There's always room. I mean, I learn things every day. They learn things. They should learn things every day. So I think that's, don't stop learning. Don't stop. I mean, like talking to professionals like yourself, it's like I learn from you, and I learn from the people. This is what they do, and however I can disseminate it and bring it back to the students. I mean, it's only going to make these are our future broadcasters and audio and video production students, and yeah. So I think that is a struggle. It's just making sure we're giving them everything, every opportunity, whether it's technology or education.
Okay, well, I guess going off script a little bit now, I know that you just purchased one of our parabolic microphones. As long as
Yes.
we're having our little conversation, what are your plans for that?
Well, we're very excited to use it because we have struggled to get good audio at a sporting event or parade or things. There's a lot of applications. I think the students think it, like anything else, it's the miracle, like it's going to work everywhere. And they're very specific, applications for it because you've created it and it's been very successful for these applications. I want them to try it and all the applications they'd like to try it in and really see, okay, yeah, it really does work well in these, it's a baseball game, or when we hear the the bat or the ball, or we hear the call of the strike. I mean, or if we're at a football game or basketball game, I think that's where I want them to say, this is what this is for. Live, I'm hoping that, live event audio, this will excite them. I think this will make them like, this is physical, something. We're not just setting up a shotgun mic and just capturing every fan's noise and everything that's going on. We're actually pointing towards what we want, just like the cameras are pointing. So I think, instead of bungee cording a microphone on top of the camera, which is, even the networks do, you can see a football game and you see a $100,000 lens with a bungee cord around it and a microphone attached to it. And that's crowd noise. And that's but the true sound is coming from the sideline, and it's coming from, your mics and your setups that's what we want. We're not getting it from the bungee corded mic, and we want to get it. So we want to get, so they're excited about using it. And yeah, I mean, I think they want to try it out, and just go out and see. Like they think it's, like the old Magic Ear, where you'd be able to go listen to conversations, or, I think that, we would see, or, so I think there's a buzz about it. They're excited about it. And I think, I'll be interested in update you on what they find, but I think we will circle back around to, these are the applications where this works the best. And it'll go into our rotation with, depending what we're doing, that we're taking that parabolic, dish out with us, and this is what we're going to use it for. So we're very excited about that. So I think that's something we were missing that we couldn't really provide it. We've done a couple events recently, and I'm like, we really need one. And that's what, they kind of pushed me to start shopping for one and see where we could find them. So led us to your doorstep. So we're much appreciated for that, and appreciative for that. And we can't wait to, give it a try.
Well, obviously keep in touch as that process moves on. We'd love to, help or make suggestions, or at least discuss
Absolutely.
options. And I think your students will be surprised when they compare a parabolic to a shotgun, because the directionality that the parabolic provides is, quite different from a shotgun, and many people don't really have a full understanding of that.
I think it'll be a case of hearing is believing. Like, I think that's something that I can tell them all day long, but until they put the headphones on and then they start moving around and really kind of learning the focus of it and what to do with it, I think that'll be the light bulb moment. So I think hearing it will be okay, this is pretty cool. And they've all seen it. They've all seen them at football games, and sporting events, and we've seen them, behind the plate at baseball games and stuff like that. So to actually be able to put their hands on one, I think that'll be a big deal. I think that will mean a lot to them, and I'm happy that we could work something out so we could get one for them. And like I said, we're really excited to use it.
Again, we'll need to talk further on offline, but I'd love to find a way to get one of our little 9-inch units out to you for experimentation and again to let your students play with for a while.
Perfect.
We'll have to talk later about that.
Absolutely. That would be great. Anything that we can do to help you or to help us or whatever, we're in. So.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I really appreciate your time this morning. It's been a fun conversation, and we look forward to hearing back from you and how the Klover mic is working for you and your students.
Excited. Yes. Thank you so much for having me.